Alrighty, how you doing this evening?
Good.
My name's David Grasse. I'm the librarian here in Payson, assistant library director and adult services to be exact. After the title, I'm also an author of Arizona Histories. I have 4 published books, still one on the way. I've been watching westerns since I was a kid. Of course, I grew up in the 70s when the westerns were starting to fade out a little bit, and so the ones I grew up with were not John Wayne and Roy Rogers, but Clint Eastwood and stuff like that. The 70s and 80s into the 90s, even today, just makes some really great westerns, but they're not like the westerns like John Wayne used to do. And actually, this is to get a good idea of this movie, The Wild Bunch, you kind of have to go back into Western film history to realize exactly what a shock this movie was. Probably originally, there's always, William S. Hart was an old silent movie actor. He came up with the concept of the good bad man. And basically it was a guy who's a gunfighter, probably a bit of an outlaw, but he, at the very end of it, he makes a moral decision and goes with the good guys. That's been played up so many times. Jimmy Stewart does it in Naked Spur, John Wayne in The Searchers. It's a trope. It became, pretty commonplace. These guys were good with the gun, and at the very end, they okay, no, there's a moral decision to be made here, and I'm going to do the right thing. This all changes in 1964. 1964, a guy named Sergio Leone makes a movie called Fistful of Dollars. How many have seen it? Yeah, I thought so. Okay, suddenly you have this hero, he's an anti-hero really, and he is morally ambiguous. Basically, Clint Eastwood in that movie plays a bad guy, he's good with a gun. And that's it. He does one altruistic thing in the entire movie. The rest of the time, he's just playing two worse people off each other. These two gangs against each other for profit. He's not doing it because, some higher calling or anything. No, he wants to make money. All the way to the end, and even at the end when the show's finally over, and this guy says, well, the Union Army's coming in this way, Mexican Army's coming in this way, and he's like, I wonder if there's money to be made off of that. So it really changes the way the heroes are in these films. And here we are, and this starts catching on. And then by the time you get to 1969, when this film is made, it's really gone. Really, you're now looking at outlaws. This film also coincides, the release 1969, saw the release of Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. Now, you take these two films and compare them. They're both about outlaws. But on the one hand, you have these two really affable guys, Butch and Sundance, and of course, Paul Newman and Robert Redford, and they're fun. They're having a good time. They're playing off each other. It's the end of the West, and they don't realize that their time is up, but they're still having a good time doing it. And you get that in the movie. I mean, there's a lot of joking. That whole thing when they jump off the cliff. Yeah. And it's really it's kind of a fun movie. And they have the new modern conveniences like the bicycle and things like this. And of course that theme song just gets stuck in your head. So you get that movie, but it's still about outlaws, and Butch and Sundance were wanted men. They probably weren't as nice as the guys in the movie, although Butch Cassidy claimed until the very end that he never shot a man, which Sundance, however, we're not so sure about. Then Sam Peckinpah decides, the director of The Wild Bunch, decides to take this to its logical conclusion. He gives us outlaws, and they're not good guys. There's nothing good about these guys. From the opening sequence, when they walk into the bank, and William Holden turns to his men and goes, "If they move, kill them." And you're just like, whoa, okay, that's pretty extreme. This is really different at the time. Nobody was doing this. And of course, that opening sequence of, interesting note, you'll see the two children in the front hugging onto each other. That was Sam Peckinpah's son, right in the middle of this big bloodbath that's going on. You see people get trampled, you see women get trampled, you see people, some people get shot. The first thing they do is throw this clerk out, and he just gets riddled with bullets. It's just, these guys are not, These are like probably what outlaws were really like, and it kind of at the time this was shocking. I mean, and then on top of that, all the blood squibs. Nobody had actually done that much blood. And granted, we look at it nowadays, it looks a little too red, a little too fake, but it was really something different to see that many, especially like in the opening sequence. The one guy is shot off his horse, he gets back up and they just riddle him full of bullets. And there's squibs going off all over. And nobody's seen anything like this. Also, at the time this movie came out, it had more edits than any other movie. That really quick, rapid-fire editing that he did. The Peckinpah, they worked on it for like a year to get that rhythm down. And sometimes it's really slow, but in those action scenes, it's fast. It's cutting really quick. And of course, nowadays with superhero movies, music videos and things like that, we're used to that kind of editing. But back then, this was something really unique. So, a couple interesting things about this movie. Peckinpah made it in Mexico, and it wasn't because he was fleeing the studio system. His career kind of was stagnating a little bit. He'd done a really bad movie before this, didn't get very good publicity, and didn't go over well with the critics. And he's kind of struggling, so he's like decided to go to Mexico and make this movie, which is the movie he always wanted to make. He's tried it once before when he made just think of the movie. Tall in the Saddle, something like that. I forget the movie, but he still fell back on that old trope of the good bad man. This is the movie he really wanted to make. He was making a statement with it. Some people say it's an anti-Vietnam War movie. There's a lot of. He never actually said what the movie was, except that it was supposed to be an anti-Western. It was, this is the West. This is what it was like. A couple things you'll see in the movie that kind of make it interesting. Just keep it in your mind. The soldiers, the costumers had a heck of a time. They had 300 uniforms and 2,000 extras to play the soldiers. And Sam Peckinpah kept blowing the uniforms apart with the blood squibs. So they would have to take them back, sew them up each night, and put them on a new soldier the next day. And so it's kind of funny. Let's see. Another thing, Sam Peckinpah was a rough character. He was hard drinking, a hard living man. But when they're in Mexico, and so amusingly enough, he decided the women in the brothel scenes are actual prostitutes. He went to Mexican brothels and hired real prostitutes to play these parts. He thought it was funny in his own little way to make Paramount Pictures pay for prostitutes. Let's see. And one last thing, which is really amazing considering the film, is they had literally hundreds of stuntmen. Nobody got majorly hurt in doing this film. And when you watch some of these action sequences, you're like, how did that not happen? But yeah, everybody walked out. There was no deaths, no major injuries. They did have the one part, and you'll see it when the bridge collapses, they had explosives under there. And they wanted the explosives to go off, but they had to time it just right so that when the bridge dropped, the men and horses would slide into the river. And they weren't sure the guy who was running the explosives could do it correctly. So one of the other assistant directors stood behind him with a club, and literally, if he hit the charge too late or too soon or too late or started to, they were going to knock him out. So it's fun to think about when you're watching that scene. Anyway, if you've never seen this before, yeah, it is. And think about this in terms of movies nowadays. It comes off a little tamer than it did back then. So keep yourself in that mindset of 1969, where this movie's going up against something like Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, really affluent, and then these guys. And yes, it's actually also had the revived William Holden's career. William Holden was kind of at this point in his career, he was starting to fade as a leading man. This movie brought him back. He ended up doing Network, and he won an Academy Award for that and a couple other things. So this has really saved his career. And it's an all-star cast. There's Borgnine, Robert Ryan. It's a really good cast. Strother Martin, of course, is. But anyway, so without further ado, wow bunch.